This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero. On this week's Takedown Thursdays, we talk about Rutgers ending the season out, the dual meet season with a 6-match win streak, and the upsets heard around college wrestling. So that is going to be this week's Takedown Thursdays, an episode presented by the Weigh-In. So that is what I have for use this week. So, we're going to save the Rutgers for second, primarily because I want to talk those upsets. So we got quite a few of them. We can start running quite a few upsets that we can go. And I got all of that for use that we will be getting done, and we're going to get it done right this second for you. So if we get started on the first one. So Aaron Seidel gets his first loss. That was one already. But I wasn't surprised because Jax Force can wrestle. A lot of people have doubted, this whole Jax Force situation, but it's the same thing with the Bassett situation. It's the same thing with when Spencer Lee was wrestling, we had all the Spencer Lee haters. It's the same thing. You're just mad because he's good. So that was the first of it. And to start it off, Force was down 6-1 early. So, that tells you that Jax Force can wrestle. We talk about Mikey. So we talk about this. Number 4, Joey Blaze beats number 3, Caliendo, and he stays unbeaten. So we talk about Joey Blaze moves to 17-0 as he takes out number 3, Mikey Caliendo. So that's another upset. I'm telling you, them Blaze brothers can wrestle, and that's nothing but the truth. I believe on the year there was something that had come out that they're 35-0 on the year, which is crazy. And this is what surprised me. This is the biggest one. Number 12, Cole Masiola beat Nick Feldman, the number 3 Nick Feldman, in overtime. And in terms of that whole Ohio State, Penn State duel meet, I'm just not surprised at the way it went. There is a very good-looking Penn State team right now. I think they got a solid group. That this is not the year that it's going to be knock off Cael Sanderson, but that is that. So that is all I had. And then we're going to talk that Rutgers and Minnesota duel meet as part of the Rutgers 6-match win streak. But nonetheless, let's get right on over to RU. So if we start off January 30th. They ran through Maryland 30-9. That started it off. Then they go up against Rider. They win that 21-12. Like these are, to what I like to say, large scale victories. Then you go to the number 6 Minnesota. Mind you, Rutgers was the number 15, and according to the reports, the Gopher was the number 7. And they go over there and they get a 23-15 victory. We're gonna break that down for you because that dropped in my inbox. Did I miss that one? I definitely did. And then we talk about right after that, they go to Michigan State and win 29-9. Wow. So you talk about that. Then you go to Princeton, where this Princeton, I really thought that would have been a closer duel meet, but then you win 28-9. So I'm telling you. Then you go to Hofstra. You face Hofstra, and you beat them 45-3. And then that's how you end out the year. And that's why I make the case that Rutgers gonna have some All-Americans this year. They're gonna have some you're wrestling very well when it counts, and that's at the end of the year. So if we get to what what kind of everybody's been wanting to know. And that is everybody wants to know my ideas on this my ideas on this Michigan. So I got you. Let me pull it up. I know. Yous are gonna say, what happened? You're supposed to already have it up. You wasn't ready. I know. Yous always send me messages about that I gotta have this stuff ready to go. No more looking. First of all, we start off at 125 for you. Um well, according to the Rutgers website, says it was the number 17 Rutgers against the number 6. Where I saw before was the Bash Mania. It said it was the number 15 Rutgers and the number 7 Gopher, but either way, big upset. So 125, we start off with Aiden Smith. He was over Jorge. I think that's Jorge Volk. 7-2, which is that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one to start it off. Then we go to 133, Dylan Sawyer. Dylan wrestles pretty well. I've seen Dylan wrestle quite a few times. I'm not surprised it was a 12-2 major decision. So at that point in the match, you've got Rutgers leading 7-zip. And then you get up there and you got Vance Van Barner of Minnesota at 141 win over Mason Gibson. I'm not surprised because Vance Van Barner does some good wrestling. I'm not surprised. That was a tech fall 18-3. Now you're looking at a 7-5 Rutgers match after 141. We get to 149. You look at you got Andrew Clark. He wins 5-1 decision. That gives Rutgers a 10-5 win over Robert Drew. I'm just kind of getting it's kind of getting interesting here for what's what. And then we're going to talk this 157. 157 was Anthony White. Anthony White had a 4-1 victory, sudden victory over 13-5. This is what made the difference. And I talk about this because it made the difference. I tell you this all the time. Bonus points. Bonus points. We're going to go through that at the end. When we get to the end, we'll talk about those bonus points. We're at 165, Andrew Sparks. I'm not surprised. When I see that Sparks, I know them Sparks can wrestle. So I'm not surprised that was a decision by 2-0. But even then, he beat Andrew Barbosa by 2 points. So it tells you that's only a 2-0 Vic. So even that's real close. At that point, it's a Rutgers lead 13-8. Then you have 174 Lenny Pinto. That's an 18-9. I mean, Lenny Pinto of Rutgers wins it by major decision 18-9. That I'm not surprised. Here we go again. Bonus. I talked about this. And then that puts the match at a 17-8 at 184 Max McAnally. I'm not surprised at that. It's a major decision 15-7. Then that puts the match 17-12 going into 197. Remy Cotton of RU over Gavin Nelson by 4. You see what I'm talking about? By 4. And then it goes 23-12. And heavyweight Corey Hopkin 1919 over Hunter Gavi by decision 4-2. Then after that, Rutgers wins 23-15. This is what we're gonna get at. So we talked about what I said. We're gonna get at that bonus. So first of all, the first bonus for Rutgers here was Dylan Sawyer, got a major decision, which was followed up by Minnesota getting a tech fall. So if we talk about Rutgers bonus, how much bonus did Rutgers get? Let's talk that Rutgers bonus. You had Dylan Sawyer at 133 that got bonus. You had at 174 Lenny Pinto get a major decision. Then you had Remy Cotton get the 4. So we talk about 3 sets of bonus when it comes to Rutgers, and it really does make a difference. You guys don't really understand. Bonus is the true difference. So let's talk about how much bonus came from that Minnesota, since we're talking this dual meet. So when you talk about that, we talk about their first bonus was 141. That was Vance Von Bonner. And then 184, Max McAnally got a major decision. So you talk about that. You talk about that Rutgers at the end of this year is wrestling very well. And it tells you that's going to translate into postseason. They're going to go into the Big Ten championships. You know, what I would like to see from Rutgers is get, if possible, I would like to see all 10 headed to nationals. I think this is a really good wrestling Rutgers program. I'd like to see 10 to nationals. I really would, because I see a bright wrestling nationals for Rutgers here, the way everything's going, and it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting. Now, in terms of drafting, I know you guys know we do the wrestling draft. I don't really think I'll have too many Rutgers guys on my drafting squad, obviously, because we haven't got there yet. But when we do, you know, I know everybody has wanted to know if this will be something that is will we cover that's been asked a lot by a few people, because they say, you know, will we be covering the draft extensively like we did last year? And the short answer is no, we will not. We're still drafting, but we won't be drafting for the podcast. I believe we won't be drafting for the podcast this year. No decisions have been made on that quite yet, but it's very well we won't be drafting for the podcast, not in the way we did last year. This year we're kind of gonna, I believe, we'll be sitting out of the drafting festivities in terms of the podcast this year, because we're gonna be more focusing on, we have a lot of admin stuff we have to do on our side of the podcast, that we won't be just drafting this year. A lot of stuff we're getting done in the behind the scenes, that we won't be doing much of a draft. But that decision hasn't really been made. If we do, it probably won't be a full video. More than likely it'll just be a short post, if I'm able to. Even if then we may, you know, but we haven't come to no decision. But nonetheless, the coverage of that, the second annual weigh-in draft, may not, you know, we'll keep you updated on that. But this is what I'm talking about. You have a really good wrestling Rutgers team right now. And when we look at some of these dual meets, let's talk some of these big dual meets. Let's talk that Hosfer. That was the last dual meet. Let's talk Hosfer right now, since that was the last dual meet and that was the most recent. Let's talk. They had Jordan Chapman wrestling at 184. This is what I'm talking about. So let's tell you. Well, this is what I'm going to tell you first off. 125, I think that's a match. Went to Ultimate Tiebreaker 2. And Tegan Stubel won over Aiden Smith 3-2. A match to watch if you didn't see the whole dual meet. But nonetheless, let's get you on this one. Dylan Sawyer over Gage Ship 13-8. You had Joey Oliveira by fall. You had Andrew Clark by tech fall. You had another tech fall for RU. You had Andrew Barbosa with a 4-1 decision. You had Lenny Pinto with a tech fall. You had Jordan Chapman by fall. You had PJ Casadell over Will Cologne, injury default. You hate to see those. And you had Hunter of RU by fall. So we talk about, let's break this down for you, because this is going to be interesting. You got 141 was a fall. You had a tech fall at 149. You had tech fall at 157. You had a tech fall at 174. You had a fall at 184. Obviously, you hate to count it, but injury default, and then you had a fall. So you say we're talking 7 right there if we run it back real quick, because 141 you had the fall, you had the tech fall at 149, you had the tech fall at 157, you had the tech fall at 174, you had the fall at 184, you had the injury default at 97, and then you had the fall at heavyweight. So we're talking 7 matches in bonus points. 7. So that means there was only 3 matches where they did not have bonus points. That is what I'm talking about in terms of bonus. 3 matches didn't get bonus. 3. That's takedown right there. So that's what I'm talking about. That this is a really good wrestling RU team. Although you could see they had guys like Jordan Chapman and PJ and Joey Oliveira back in Joey Oliveira back in the lineup, which is nice to see. You talk about that group and the guys that they put out there right now. This is a good Rutgers group. This is a really good wrestling Rutgers group. I don't nor see this Rutgers wrestling group having more than less than a year any differently. Let's look at. No, I don't really see north of it being that bad of a year, you know, for the Rutgers wrestling boys. Given everything that goes on, I don't really see it being that bad of a year for the Rucker boys. I don't really seeing it being that bad. Hey, how did I miss this one? Am I the only one that noticed Rutgers is wearing Nike now? Rutgers wrestling and the Nike. Am I the only one that noticed? No Adidas no more. I don't know how I missed that one, but I don't know how I missed that one. I don't know how I missed that one. I can't tell you how I missed that one, but that's interesting. You know what? Let's look that up. We're gonna look that up. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Let's see. I want to know because I just now saw that. That's let's see if I can get a. I don't know how I did not notice that Rutgers is wearing Nike now. Okay, so basically, why? Yeah, that's so. The issue started in so I can give you the history. Rutgers ended its apparel partnership with Adidas in 2012, but they elected to still, I guess it says, subsequential shift to Nike 25-26 after a period of using Adidas without a formal contract following a later separate agreement. Rutgers moves to Nike to secure a more valuable and competitive apparel sponsorship. Notes Asbury Park Press. That's interesting. I didn't even notice that. I really didn't even notice that. That Rutgers with Nike now. That's absolutely. I dropped the ball on that one, y'all. I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. I'm not learning that Rutgers is with Nike. What? They say it's a $30 million deal with Nike. Money, 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 money. So if that doesn't tell you that, that tells you that. But nonetheless, as I sit here, like I said, that's interesting. Nike, Rutgers to cut ties with Adidas. Old news, but finally letting it take effect. And according to, the intermost of webs, the intermost of webs, this started July 1st of last year. So July 1st of last year, they secured the contract and was done with Adidas. Wow. Well, here's the great thing. I know we didn't see it that much often on Rutgers, but a lot of times they had to wear the Adidas headgear, but now they don't have to wear the Adidas, the Adidas no more. They can, you can kind of. I mean, we're seeing this with a lot of schools, the custom headgears, but we're definitely gonna be able to see it a lot more from. Yep, they were wearing Adidas last year, so that's it. They're with Nike now. Nike's making all the stuff for Rutgers. Interesting, man. I can't believe I did not notice that. That tells you that I haven't been up. I haven't been up enough on my news. I'm not gonna lie though, those Adidas Rutgers singlets, they weren't too bad. They had good looking Adidas singlets. Like the all white was really good. Let you know what? Let's change this right now. We're gonna talk the Rutgers wrestling singlet, because boy, they've had some good ones. Singlet. While we're in this, yeah, the camo was pretty good. That was another one of my favorites. The camo was pretty lit. They had a good. I liked more than most. I liked the white. That was my favorite. Well, no, that's not true. My favorite was the camos. The camo singlets were my favorite, if I'm being honest. The camos were my favorite. Those were my favorites, but boy, they've had some pretty good singlets in history. I mean, as has Penn State. I mean, another set that was good. They're two colors. The two colored singlets, tops white, bottoms red. Those were pretty good. The two colored black ones were good too. Tops white, bottoms black. Those were pretty good too. I mean, they've had pretty good singlet design, and I'm not, I mean, there's some pretty good Nike singlets out there, and now that they're moving on to Nike, like I said, I'm not surprised they're making the move to. They're making the move to. They got tons of good singlets out there that have done pretty well. Like the pink Penn State singlets from a long. I think those were while Bo Nickel was there, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Um, that's a good one. That's a really good one. So there's some really good singlets that are out there in college wrestling. There's whole episode. There's probably whole episodes on that thing. So I guess the only way to I can't help you on that front. That's a whole episode in itself. The best singlets that are not that's a whole episode in itself. Some of the best singlets. So that's something that that's a whole thing in itself. But things are really, really things are really, really cool. Really cool. Really cool what goes on. So really cool. All the singlets out there. Really cool. So there's so many good ones out there that just you look at them and you say, "Wow." That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many good ones, so many really good ones. So there's a lot of good ones that are out there, but they got them really good ones, really good SIGs. But that's an episode in itself. So nonetheless, I know we're drawing near the end of an epi, y'all. I want to get all of you in great shape here. This was today's episode. Really, just getting out there and really, I mean, I kind of consider it a short one because I mean, all these episodes that I consider a short. But this is yet another one where it's kind of just it's up and at 'em. We're getting to the end of near postseason. They're starting to announce the stuff for Final X, which is pretty cool. Um, you know, for those who saw, for those who kind of follow Rutgers, the jerseys that a lot of these episodes where they're kind of center focused like that, like this one, are more or less for the out of staters that don't really keep up. They kind of rely on what we say. You know, for some of them, um, there's some of them that really rely on what we say. Like more than most. Um, it's how it kind of is. There's no real way to put it. But nonetheless, that is the end. That is all I got for yous. This is the weigh-in by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero. And this is Takedown Thursdays presented by the weigh-in. Weighing out.